Guys, did you know that your roofing migraines may have nothing to do with your roofers at all? Most people, whenever they start experiencing issues with roofers, with their leaking roof and all that, the first culprit they think about is the expert that did the roofs. And that might be the case, but it's not always the case. So stay with me for more clarity. I'll explain to you why there could be at least 10 other things that had nothing to do with your roofers that still ends up causing you roofing nightmares. But before we do that, good morning, family. We are, of course, back again in Karating, having a great time. It's a wonderful morning. I'm just inspecting our gazebo roof because I just noticed this morning that the roof has certain spots that seem to be rusting. And to me, that sounded a little early because this gazebo is not even an year old. Yet I can already see element of rust here and there. And that might be the case for Versatile, which is the type of iron sheets that we used. So I'm just finding out what's going on with this roof. But again, we're in the village. If you're joining us for the first time, we are filming in Western Kenya in a place called Karating in Kisumu. This is my home area and I spend a lot of time here. On occasion, I spend time elsewhere, but I'm just enjoying what's going on in Karating. Oh, and that's my brother's roof. So his is a slightly different type of roof compared to the one that I used here in the gazebo. It's basically a roof made of a material called Decra. So Decra is slightly a lot more expensive. We didn't use it for our roof because, as you can tell, our roof is hidden. So that gave us the liberty to go the more affordable route. But his is Decra, and I'll tell you more about that on another video. But today, I just want to focus on some of the roofing migraines and nightmare that folks often deal with. In fact, as I'm speaking with you right now, almost 40% of my clients currently have issues with roofs that we are trying to fix. If you didn't know, we do consultation around construction and things related to folks returning to Kenya. So nearly 40% of my current clients live in diaspora and have issues with roofs that some of them really have to be complete tear down. But anyway, if you are new to construction, here are some of just the basics you need to keep in mind while thinking about roofs and some of the potential migraines that might come your way in the future. So number one, as is obvious, the roof is perhaps one of the most visible parts of a home. So if you get it right, it'll probably mask all the manywanda around your house. And manywanda is just a scientific term that is used to describe chaos. So if you've got a good roof, usually it'll mask some of those chaos that are around the wall or inside your house. But the reverse is also true. If you get it wrong, then it really magnifies every single thing that is in your house that didn't come out right. So while we want to get everything right, the roof is especially critical. Now, for our water tower, as you can see above, we simply use just ordinary iron sheets. And I use the same thing for our main house. You can't see it because it's a hidden roof, but we basically had basic typical iron sheets. So again, the roof, given how visible it is, you can't hide it. If you get it right, it'll help you mask some of the things. But if you get it wrong, it'll simply magnify whatever else didn't catch on with your house. Then that also means that the wear and tear for the roof really cannot be hidden. Things like when the roof begins to fade or leak, you'll either see it outside or you'll see it inside. If it's a bathroom issue, you can still hide it. If there's wear and tear with your toilets and the vanities and all that, those are things that can be hidden and can wait. If it's in the kitchen or in the pantry, you can hide it. But the roof, there's no way to hide it. Either you see it outside or you will see it inside. And then one other common thing that I see with clients is that usually the roof is one of those things, besides the foundation, that is often a surprise when it comes to how much it costs. So some of my clients often experience shock when they get a quote for a roof. And they're like, I thought it was going to be this, and then I see this. I'm not surprised. I see that a lot with roofs and foundations. And So I tell clients, usually, in fact, by just looking at a drawing, I can already tell an approximate value or how much it's going to cost a client. So I just let them dream on, and then we get a quote from clients. In fact, sometimes I have my roofing guys bid, because I work with almost 4 to 5 different roofing folks. So if it's a general client, I would simply give my contractors to bid, and then whoever gives us the best deal gets the job. And my folks sometimes are surprised at how much roofs can cost. The good news, though, with the roof is that the costs are usually very manageable, unlike many other parts of building. Because for one, you can manage the cost of building your roof by simply changing the design, which is exactly what we did. We moved from a pitched roof to a mabati hidden roof. And that saved us almost 50% of what we were going to initially use. So the design, you can still get a very functional design, very beautiful, that is affordable, and that goes with the material as well. With roofs, you can actually change the material you're using. It'll still be quality, very affordable, and it'll bring down the cost. Not so much for the other parts. There are certain things that the moment you go down on price, then you start getting manuanda. Something as simple as tiling. With tiling, anytime you go cheap on tiling, the overall design rarely looks good. And so I would tell folks that with roofing, there's ways to manage costs while still maintaining elegance. Not so much so for many other things within the house. Now, and of course, that also depends on the type of roof you're building. If you're building a pitched roof that is not hidden, that will be challenging. But a hidden roof, there's many ways you can get a quality roof that is still very much within your budget. So that's one of the wonderful things about roofs. And then usually I tell folks that as a homeowner, this is one place that you also want to really insist on safety, because I've had more accidents with roofs than any other thing at construction sites. Because, and the reason is obvious. It's one of those things that require folks to almost fully operate from heights. And as you can see with our house, it's relatively high up from the ground. So there are usually more accidents when doing roofs than anything else. So this is where you want to take extra precaution to make sure that everybody is following safety protocols. And roofs, when done properly, can last you a very long time. And this is true with most things in the home, but especially with the roofs. I've seen roofs that last like 30, 40 years plus. And so when you get it right, it is something you won't have to worry about for a long time. Other parts of the house, even when you do it right, there's always going to be a need for more frequent maintenance, like for solar systems. You can do a proper system, yes, but of course, they're meant to be serviced at some point. So the most common complaint, as you can imagine, is always leaky roofs. But you'd be surprised that it turns out that actually water is not really your main worry when it comes to roof. I know everybody thinks leaky roofs and water and all that, but there's a bunch of things you have to think about. So let me just highlight a few things before I go to the migraine section of it. Number one, whenever you're choosing a roof, thinking about cost, please think about durability. You'd rather go with a slightly expensive roof that you won't have to replace in a long time. And then number two, think about the issue of bats and pests, pests, because certain roof designs, if not properly done, really allow room for bats and pests and all kinds of things up there. Also, consider water collection. In Karating, I don't have to worry about water collection because we have a lot of water. Other people really require that. And then when you think about lighting, the roofs can be really good with maximizing light at your place. So here are some of the sources of migraines with roofs that may have nothing to do with your roofing folks. Number one, the type of wood that you use. Some folks are usually in a hurry, so they cut their own wood in their neighborhood, and the woods don't cure properly. And unfortunately, sometimes they even use blue gum. Now, blue gum is probably not the number one. Most roofers will tell you use cypress. And again, because blue gum really warps quite a bit. And the moment it starts warping, then it starts changing the structure of your roof. The nails go apart, then you have your leaks coming through. So be thoughtful about the kind of wood you use, especially whether or not they're properly cured. The other issue that comes up is when clients try to go cheap. Again, when you go for, I know somebody who can do it cheaply. There are really, really mediocre fundis out there. So watch out for that. And then some of the issues you're going to face in the roof actually start at the foundation. So whatever manure that you have produced at the foundation, it'll catch up with you up there. So make sure that your foundation is fine. And that also includes the walls. Because those inches you're losing as you go up and down, those inches add up. And then once the roof guy comes in, even when you bring an expert roof surgeon, when you have proper, terrible foundation, terrible walls, it's going to be very hard to correct the roofing problems. So I've seen clients with leaky roofs, and I send my fundis, they look at it, they say the roof is fine, but the issue is way, way, way down, not even up at the roof. So be very careful what happens at the foundation and the walling and all that before you get to the roof. And then there are simple things such as people walking on the roof, especially you have people installing internet, solar, and all that. Sometimes, like in our case, I've had folks who've really messed up our DECRA. And so a roof that was perfectly done can still start leaking because there were people walking carelessly on the roof. Watch out for trees when you have branches all over the place. Be careful, trim them, because sometimes that also compromises your gutters when the leaves start clogging your gutters. And then with design, whether you have a pitched roof versus a flat roof, concrete versus non-concrete, that really matters. So be careful, especially with roofs that are concrete. The most important part about it, there's actually two parts. Make sure the vibration is done properly. And then the sealing after the slab is done, whether you're using terrazzo or some other material, make sure that is done properly. And then with the vibration, one of the things I observed is that it's not unusual for folks to do slabs that are not properly vibrated here and there, and you'll see leaks. That is usually not a problem for the most part, because after that, the finishes are done properly. But I've seen cases where people use concrete roofs that are not well vibrated. And then on top of that, you really add what I would basically describe as mediocre finishes. Like I've seen some terrazzo work that you look at it and you're like, this is really a mess. So when you combine mediocre vibration plus finishes, then you have a problem in your hands. And of course, the concrete roofs are not that cheap either. So again, besides your roofing guy, those are some of the things you want to think about that may really end up causing you migraines. If you have any issues, please hit me on the number that I post for consultations. We will find somebody to help you. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next. Bye.